Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now switch to the next speaker I'd like to introduce to you, and that is Wolf-Dieter Lukas, who has been the State Secretary at the German Federal Ministry for Education and Research since September 2019. And as you might know, Germany is currently for another month holding the presidency of the Council of the EU. And I would like to say, Mr. Lukas, the floor is yours.
I'm very glad that most of the GESI countries remain strong partners and that many others have joined, including most EU members and several associated countries. However, ECSEL is much more than a research funding mechanism. It is a platform where the European states and the Union team up, create coherence between their respective research and innovation policies. So with this coherence, ECSEL, and before it ENIAC, paved the way to the first IPCI on microelectronics. This is the bridge across the valley of Death, from R&D to investments, creating European jobs and growth. There are now IPCIs, underway in other areas, in particular batteries and hydrogen, following the example to set by this community. We were the first establishing an IPCI. My message on behalf of the presidency: we should do our best to maintain the tripartite partnership model. It is the basis for leveraging our national electronics research policies through European coherence. I will come back to that point later. Ladies and gentlemen, microelectronics and other key enabling technologies have evolved rapidly since the 80s, since the ECSEL time. Europe has grown to significant strengths in certain areas of microelectronics. We have been successful. We are strong in more than more fields, in sensors and in power electronics. We are still in the more game as the world's only provider of EUV lithography. We have strengthened not only the technology side, but also our value chain. Europe is an industrial base that puts electronics to good use. Even we do not have the internet giants, we have the things, the electronic of things, the Internet of Things. On the other hand, Europe is behind in certain areas. No cutting-edge processor or memory fabs, no maker of standard computers or smartphones. We used to be leading in telecommunication. I remember when I gave always this speech and say Europe is #1 in telecommunication. Good old times. I cannot say this now. We are followers now. However, 5G and 6G will define the Internet of the future. We have to be able to shape the underlying technologies and protocols. More generally, we need the knowledge to understand all the electronics that we employ. We need to be able to design critical components ourselves and ideally to manufacture them. The key to our future strength is the same as our current strength: European cooperation. European cooperation. Through the initiative and strategies that we create in public-private partnership, ultimately between you as researchers and developers of cutting-edge electronics, both from academia and industry. European countries can be global players only through the combined knowledge of the European research area and the buying and regulatory power of the interior market. Ladies and gentlemen, support to European cooperation has been at the center of Germany's first microelectronics research program. We launched in 2016 and runs until the end of this year. It's my great pleasure to announce that the federal government has just adopted a successor program. It continues this approach. We named it Microelectronic microelectronics trustworthy and sustainable for Germany and Europe. Through it, we are providing 400 million euros of R&D funding from the Research Ministry's budget over the program period of 4 years. With this new program, we of course continue building on our strengths that remain virtual. In particular, chip and system design, sensor technology for autonomous driving, and smart manufacturing, high-frequency electronics for 5 and 6G, as well as for radar sensors and power electronics for future smart grids and applicants. But we do not just want to do more of the same. We want to provide incentives to take new risks and innovate in those areas where we need to grow new strengths. This notably includes special purpose processors for AI applications and edge computing. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also explicitly called for this in her State of the Union speech in September. I quote, "We want the European industry to develop our own next-generation microprocessor that will allow us to use the increasing data volumes energy efficient and securely." End of quote. That's the policy of the European Commission. That's the policy of the European Union. I think this gave us great support from the President of the Commission. However, safety-critical applications such as smart manufacturing and smart mobility grow in importance. We need to be able to show that the electronics we make and use is trustworthy. In other words, that we know and can show exactly what it does as well as what it does not do. Finally, with the word sustainable in the program title, we are stressing that electronics needs to be part of the solution for climate change. The overarching policy goals are climate protection and technology sovereignty. What do we mean by technology sovereignty? Our citizens' trust in digitalization, our economy, success, and even our national sovereignty today depends both on access to and on knowledge about cutting-edge electronics. Unilateral technology dependence can quickly turn into geopolitical risks. The effects of disrupted supply chains have been very visible in the pandemic at the beginning. Our response is not isolation, but the capability to understand and shape electronics and other key digital technology. By creating and maintaining the knowledge and skills we need for worldwide cooperation at high level, driven by innovation and following free market principles, by supporting research and development, by giving our researchers the infrastructure they need, and by fostering cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, at the same time, electronics components and systems play a role for climate protection. I see multiple opportunities for European leadership. Firstly, the energy-efficient electronics such as tailor-made processors. Secondly, through more intelligent system architectures than cloud computers. There's something better than cloud computing, such as edge computing, processing of sensor data. Thirdly, by employing new paradigm, such as neuromorphic computing or other unconventional approaches. Our new program shows, as a government, we are willing to continue this strong support for microelectronics. Now, it is your move on the industry side. By investing further into the European turnaround, by making trustworthy and sustainable components and systems. If you do so, I can assure you that I will do everything in my power to support German participation in the new initiative K Digital Electronics and a further IPCI on microelectronics. Our partner countries too want to continue in the same spirit of strategic cooperation and co-financing that has made ECSEL so successful and powerful. While we would like to make participation simpler for researchers, simpler for researchers in industry and academia, in particular, simpler for the SMEs. The Commission's initial proposal for a central financial management actually would create serious hurdles for states to participate. I think unnecessary so. We will be happy to work with the Commission to remove these hurdles so that we can once more unite our efforts in a strategic partnership on key digital technologies. I would like to say also, of course, we have to move, everybody has to move, every state and the European Commission, to, I think the goal to make it simpler is the right goal. And I think we cannot stay with all our national regulations. We have to find common regulations. And of course, the Commission plays here an important role. But please just go into the discussion with the member state. I'm sure we will find a solution which really helps to make ECSEL and the processes of ECSEL more efficient. Before I close, a word of thanks. While it is easier to attend this conference virtually, it is harder for everyone behind the scenes to get the right speakers on screen at the right time, to deal with the slight imperfections in today's web conference tools. So I would like to extend a big special thank you to the organizing team for bringing us together. Ladies and gentlemen, it is up to all of you to create these concrete achievements in electronics components and systems. I hope that you find inspiration for such achievements here at the Efecs 2020, as well as the networks and contexts that you need to turn inspiration into reality. I hope that we meet soon again, without Corona, in a stronger Europe, with stronger microelectronics, and still in the way of cooperation we have started several decades before. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Mr. Lukas, for your very kind and interesting contribution. And ladies and gentlemen, due to a small loss of connection and sound, I would like to do a small recap, because I think what's very important, what Mr. Lukas said at the beginning, is that he has a broad background in microelectronic policies, and I think the ECS community for sure has one of its greatest supporters in Mr. Lukas to push forward. Just in summary, I would say is that Mr. Lukas definitely pointed out that Europe is already really well advanced, but in other areas we need to step up efforts, and then we need to be bold. We need to be able to take risks and to innovate, especially when it comes to special purpose processors for AI applications, but also edge processors, which are much needed. And on top of that, ECS community has a role to play in climate change. That's something that we will tackle also tomorrow. Tech sovereignty is something that we'll tackle for sure also in the panel discussion taking place after the break later today. And common regulation, so not trying to solve things just as one member state, but as Europe as a whole. So thanks once again for your kind words.